All right. I can't find I can't get it.
Okay. Well, the agenda is on the slides, so we can just follow along with the slides. And
Okay.
I'll cue you if we need be.
All right, we are live on YouTube and the webinar has started. So it is all yours, Mr. Flickinger.
Go ahead and flip to the next slide, John. All right.
Okay. You know, okay, the call to order and pledge of allegiance. I'll begin.
Very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. I'm just going to go ahead and lead off. James Flickinger's here.
We can have Anna read off the names.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Bob Trimborn has been excused. Chair Flickinger.
You're here.
Gary Jacobs has been excused. Maggie Bird. Maggie, I think your audio is off, perhaps. We see you. Okay, I do see you on the screen, so I will mark you as present. Adriana Vondergraaf.
Here.
Nanette Metz.
Here.
Bobby Williams.
Here.
Bruce Hamus.
Here.
Steve Weiss.
Here.
Steve Tannehill has been excused. You have a quorum.
Okay, next is the approval of minutes.
I so move. I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 I
Do we have
abstain.
it?
Bobby abstains. I wasn't here.
Steve Weiss abstains.
Okay, do we have a public comment period? Do we have anybody?
There's no public comment at this
No,
time.
no publics. Okay. Do we have any new business?
We do. And I can go ahead and lead off if you like.
Please do.
Sure. So first order is 5A. It's approval of an authorization for the Director of Airports or his designee to sign the month-to-month hangar storage agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Staff requested your commission authority recommend that the Board of Supervisors, the board, approve and authorize the Director of Airports or his designee to sign the month-to-month hangar storage agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to allow it to store the Department of Fish and Wildlife's multiple aircraft at the Camarillo Airport. So I will take this item. It's almost unfortunate that this has to come before you because this is so routine that normally we are just signing these. The reason this is coming to the Board of Supervisors and through you first is that two very small changes had to be made to the lease document itself. And very briefly, the first is that because it's a state of California agency, they do not allow for us to have a clause in there that places a lien on any of the aircraft. And so that has been deleted from our standard contract form, or at least form. And the other is that they pay in arrears, where normally we are charging upfront for the month. Those two small items have been amended or changed in the standard lease form, and our rules say that that goes before the Board of Supervisors. But That's it. And other than that, it's just simply a hangar lease, and it's a month-long lease term, so it doesn't go any further than that. So they've taken one of the larger box hangars in our new development, one of the new northeast hangars. So once we get that signed, then they can move in and get on with life. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, Mr. Chair, this is Bobby.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a
Yes.
question. I assume that no one on the waiting list was in line for any of that hangar that they're looking at, or they declined to take it. Or there's nobody waiting to get in a hangar, is there, like that?
You're asking whether or not they took anybody's place?
Well, there is a hangar waiting list. I just wonder if everybody on the waiting list has passed on that hangar.
Sure. Well, I had an item in the director's report, but I'm happy to just say that all of the hangars have been leased. So this would be the last one of that because it had to be handled separately. But Madeline Hurley in our department has been furiously writing leases and filling all those hangars up. So the good news is that we virtually have no wait list any longer.
Oh, okay. That was my main concern, not that we're renting them, but that we didn't bypass somebody on the waiting.
No, everybody's been handled. We had a wait list that seemed to be about 5 years long. And after bringing these new units online and going through the wait list and applying some criteria that says, if you're ready, if you have a flyable airplane and it fits in one of the hangars we have available, please sign up. And as we got deeper in the list, a lot of names fell off. They weren't ready, or they didn't have an airplane that was flyable, or they changed their mind, or what have you. So for a brief period, we had the ability to just walk right up and get a hangar.
Okay.
Yeah, good news, really.
Thank you.
Sure.
Does anyone else have a question? No. Okay, so all those who approve and authorize the director of airports or his designee to sign
We need a motion. We need a motion and then discussion.
Okay.
Also move. Steve
Thank
Weiss.
you.
I'll second it, Bobby Williams.
Okay. All those in favor?
Discussion.
The discussion?
I have a point to make. I think it should be noted that the terms and conditions of our standard lease are no longer etched in stone. So if we can make this exception for, in this case, we have to be open to making exceptions for other lessees. Real important here. So we can't treat Fish and Wildlife as a special entity and not the rest of our present lessees or future lessees. And let the record so show.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, well, if there's no one else to have any discussions, all those approve and authorize the director of airports or designee to sign the month-to-month hangar storage agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to allow it to store Department of Fish and Wildlife's multiple aircraft at the Camarillo Airport. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
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 Hi, I'm with you now.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried.
Very good, thank you. Item 5B, approval of and authorization for the Director of Airports or his designee to sign amendment number 2 to the consulting services contract for the Camarillo Airport Northeast Hangar Development with Mead and Hunt Incorporated, raising the total amount of the contract by $3,666 to a new total of $1,459,267. And staff request that your commission authority recommend that the Board of Supervisors or the board approve and authorize the Director of Airports or his designee to sign amendment number 2 to the consulting services contract for the Camarillo Airport Northeast Hangar Development with Mead and Hunt Incorporated, raising the total amount of the contract by $3,666 to $1,459,267 for Exhibit 1. So I have the pleasure to introduce Erin Powers, our projects administrator, and she'll walk us through these staggeringly large numbers.
Good evening, and thank you, Dave and Chair Flickinger and commission members. As David said, Erin Powers. Tonight, staff is before you requesting that you recommend this increase to a consulting services contract with Mead and Hunt for $3,666. As you may recall, in October of 2017, the Board of Supervisors approved a contract for construction administration services for the Northeast Hangar in an amount just over $1.3 million. And then in February of 2020, the board approved amendment number 1 to the contract for $143,051, which was an approximately 11% increase to the contract. And this increase was to cover additional costs identified at that time as we were coming out of permitting with various agencies, and there were design changes to the contract that required some additional construction days, materials, and costs. And that overall contract or that amendment increased the overall contract by approximately 11%. And today now we are making a final amendment request first to your body and then the Board of Supervisors, looking to cover additional costs incurred by Mead and Hunt to complete the project. Construction of the Northeast Hangar project was expected to be complete in December of 2020, but due to some construction material delays and a shortage of qualified labor related to COVID-19, coupled with some adverse weather conditions, completion did not occur until February of 2021. And so as we have wrapped up the construction of the project and wrapped up the grant documentation elements, we are now before you looking to receive an amendment for the $3,666 to clean up and reimburse Mead and Hunt for the work performed in order to complete the project. The increase, this increase to the contract does retain the cumulative contract total of approximately 11%, and that is in part due to, even though there were additional costs because of the extended time, Mead and Hunt had also requested that an element of work for some additional pavement management updates be removed from the contract to be performed in a more comprehensive manner at a later time. We have sufficient appropriations are available to cover the increased costs, and I am happy to answer any questions that your commission may have.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. It's open for discussion or questions. Go ahead, Bruce.
Aaron, when we did the original contract, I know that we allow for overages. Do you remember what the amount for overages were for the initial contract?
So there's no designated amount for overages, but typically your costs allow a certain cushion in terms of your construction number of days. And that is goes into the calculations. As this project, if you look at the dates, you know, this contract was originally authorized in 2017, and it took less than, but still over 3 years for actual project completion. So the amendments that we have accounted for some of that time. And then now, you know, the cushion that we had was eaten up by mid-December when we had anticipated in that first amendment being complete with the project.
So this will be it with these guys, then we don't have any more amendments coming down the pipeline.
This is it for Mead and Hunt, and this is it for the project.
Okay.
The project is absolutely complete now. And this is one of those last final cleanup items.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other discussions or questions? Okay, I can't see you all on my screen, so you'll have to speak up. Okay. Okay, so all those who are,
That's a motion.
yes, someone like to make a motion?
I so move, Steve Weiss.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, Adriana Vandergraaf.
Okay, do we, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director's report is next.
Okay. Well, thank you. For those who haven't had a presentation by me yet, I'm Dave Nafee. I'm acting director, and this is the first of the opportunities we've had to get together as an advisory body following the departure of Kip Turner, which was rather sudden, but we're responding, I think, in a healthy way, and as a staff, we feel encouraged that we've got a good pathway forward. There is a director recruitment underway that's being handled by the county executive office, their HR group. We're not really involved in that process, and we'll be happy to share progress on that as information comes to us. But we don't really have anything solid to share. The advertisement for the new director went out July 22nd, I believe, and it's been open. I know at least through the 29th of August. I'm not sure if they've extended that to them, but I believe that there's a slate of candidates to interview, and it's possible that that one amongst you has been invited onto the panel. So I look forward to a resolution on that. All the staff does. We're excited to have the help. We're running lean. I've got the acting director's hat on, as well as all the stuff that I was doing as deputy director. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Next, I would say the air show. We had an air show. I hope all of you had an opportunity to go to it. It was tremendous. And from what I understand, that there are records broken. Crowds, cars, airplanes, the whole bit. Everything was a rousing success. So we were there, staff had a booth, and we did meet and greet with lots and lots of people, handed out lots of little toy airplanes, had lots of good conversations with folks who were coming by. So we did have a couple of folks that contacted us about the noise. It's obviously an excessively loud event when you have an F-18 flying at low level. I think we've been forgiven largely, but we could expect to have some more folks reach out and say, how can you do that? Especially the war scenes when you have simulated explosions and all of that. There's a segment of our population who is a little less enthusiastic about that, or harbors a little bit of outrage on behalf of animals who are at the animal shelter. So we did receive some feedback on that. We've been responding with getting back to folks on the phone or through email responses, and working with supervisors who have also been made aware of these types of comments. But overall, as an outreach event, as a way for people to feel better about the airports, and as a way to kind of break out of COVID and be among people and celebrate being outside, it was just a great success. Let's see. We had a piece of business that we took to the Board of Supervisors on July 27th. So normally we're taking things that go to the board through our advisory committees first. This was an agreement relative to Cloud 9. That is the hangar development that's in the northeast corner of the airport. And they, as you may have noticed, are not moving any dirt. They're not building anything at the moment. Their authority to move forward under the permits that they were able to obtain has run out. And so there's a number of things that the city of Camarillo needs for them to be able to move forward. And RKR, Cloud 9, is working hard to satisfy those items. One of those had to deal with property rights transfer, or property interest transfer more particularly. And when we do that, and it's for converting part of what the airport property is inside our fence into a deceleration lane to enter the driveway for Cloud 9's property. Anytime you're taking property inside the fence, that needs to go through an FAA process. And so for the city to say that they needed to have an easement deed from FAA or from the county, we had to bridge the time that takes to be able to deliver that easement deed. And so we were quickly in contact with the FAA and set that ball in motion. But we took an agreement to the Board of Supervisors that essentially said that the county will work with the FAA in order to be able to deliver this easement deed for the benefit of the city, who needs to put a road there, a lane that turns into the Cloud 9 deal. Because the board was going to be dark in August, we felt it was appropriate to take this small item directly to the board. We did receive concurrence that was appropriate from county council as well as the county executive office, and so that went through, and that agreement's been made. Happy to take any questions about that or any of these other things. So I would say that the next big thing for I guess the acting director, but the director or the staff in general is to address concerns that the community has surrounding both airports about I'd say about transparency, about authentic engagement, about outreach, about understanding what our airports do and how that affects people, giving folks an opportunity to let us know what their concerns are and that they're being addressed. And I think that based on the fact that we had a difficult start to the master plan, so much so that we had to put it on pause for a year. When we did that with the understanding that we needed to do a little bit of extra work to really authentically reach these communities, let them understand that we are very much interested in their concerns. We very much want to address them, make any changes to how we communicate and how we distribute information, how we are available to address concerns in that category. So what are we going to do? Well, the part of this is to say how far ahead of the incoming director do we want to get? And that's kind of a tricky balance as an acting director. You know, how courageous do I want to be? How far ahead, I guess, in forming plans and setting a tone? Because one of the things that the director is being asked to demonstrate to the selection panel is their skills in this category, in being able to design and fulfill, implement good outreach strategies to the communities. So with that in mind, to cast in stone a bunch of things that we're going to commit to do ahead of that director being able to come in and make the kinds of changes and that we're expecting them to have is in their skill set seemed a little bit premature. So with that in mind, I believe that it would be safe to say that we would be wanting to form a series of meetings for the Camarillo area that would be described as listening sessions, and there would be a theme around each one, and a theme would just be simply providing a discussion topic, having a little bit of information that we share about what the airport does, and then offering opportunities for people to comment on that or anything else that they wanted to, and without really a time limit. We wouldn't, other than just let's give people 3 minutes to speak their mind. But not to say, well, we have to all fit it into an hour or an hour and a half or whatever. If it goes to 2 in.the morning, so be it. Let's let people make sure that they have the opportunity to say what's on their mind and do that. So that's the idea that we've got for the Camarillo area in specific, and this could be used as a strategy in Oxnard as well. But especially for the Camarillo neighborhoods and the people that are trying to get our attention and express their displeasure or concern over things that are being planned at Camarillo, or where plans are being formed for Camarillo. We can address those concerns and hear what that feedback is. And I think establish a bit of calm and replace the fear that's out there with good information, good solid information that's reliable. So that's the goal there. For Oxnard, what we have, and one of the colleagues on your panel here is Steve Tannehill, who couldn't be here, but the concern of the neighborhoods to the southwest of Oxnard Airport has to do with the traffic pattern for training flights primarily. And so I would say that we have met with the tower and the manager of the tower and the nationwide. So it's a tower operated by a private company under contract with FAA. So working with leadership in the company that does it, their name is Serco, and beginning to have all of the conversations needed in order to see if there are ways to adapt the traffic pattern or change the traffic pattern, or whatever that we could do to understand better about how the traffic pattern needs to operate, in order to make sure that we're doing it safely, and that if we make any changes, that we understand that there could be unintended consequences and we know what they are, and go that direction. But it's got a process. We need to bring in all the stakeholders that are affected and need to be feeding their viewpoint and their information, so that we know that whatever changes we recommend are going to be within the authority that we have, and that we know that we're not compromising safety. So we're beginning to have those stakeholder meetings for that item. So the last thing I would say about community outreach is that we have updated our website to make it a lot more user friendly, and I think John can share that on your screen. So a nice new clean look, and hopefully what we wind up with is the ability for people to find exactly what they're looking for very quickly. You can see that we have a button there. You could push that green button and be able to file a noise report. So you don't have to call us. You can just simply go to the web and find that form. We have an events calendar. So if you're looking for ways to connect with us at meetings, we'll have the meetings advertised there. It links to the agendas and to the YouTube channel that allows us to see the presentation. So this is in an effort to say we'd like to be a lot easier to find. If you're looking for something to deal with the Department of Airports, we want to be a lot easier for you to be able to look for and find the answers quickly. And we'll be adding features, continuing to add features as we go, and to make refinements. So please use it, go to it, find it, let us know what you think, and just know that it's not in its final form. We wanted to get it out there and get it launched, so that we're making refinements to things rather than have it absolutely perfect before it goes out. But so there you go. That's website. We also are doing social media. We have an Instagram page, which is it's a nice, fun way to put additional information out there, kind of put a happier face on airports, to cheer about the things that are great about our airports, and to try to do a little bit of visual storytelling. So we do that. We highlight interesting things. I'm watching something about sustainable aviation fuel for Sun Air. That's something that the average citizen may not know, that you can get fuel here at the airport that came from a sustainable source. So we're happy to be able to contribute in our messaging from using social channels as well. So there's that. The Oxnard runway is not usable right now. It's in the middle of a 3-month closure period, a 91-day closure period, and there's and John, I think we have a slide for that too. It's on time. I mean, if I were just going to say, let's have 2 words to describe how that project's going, it's on schedule. So we're not facing any problems that look like it could extend that period of time that we've planned on it. November 4th is still the date. We work very hard to make sure that anything that comes up doesn't affect that end date. And we're working very closely with the contractor. It's a great working relationship. They walked us through a partnering session where we got all of the key players that had anything to do with how the schedule goes, and made sure that all of the connections that we needed to communicate effectively are in place, that we all aspire to meet or exceed our goals that drive the schedule. So it remains our top priority, and we do expect success. So there's that. Couple of things that we're not bringing forward that had been items in the past: the private hangar lease. I think we're not in an aggressive posture for that, to try to drive that home. And I think that's something that the director should do rather than the acting director, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And so we did not drive that one forward to a rapid close. I know we're down to just a couple of items, but we haven't heard any pressure from the Hangars Association, so the impetus to push that forward into an agenda item this time didn't seem wise. So I believe that that's going to find a resolution. I'm very hopeful. So just elected not to bring that forward. The Joint Powers Agreement, 1976 agreement, is an item that's also been brought up and by the Camarillo Airport Authority, and that is also not going to come forward in September. Put that on the agenda, and the reason being is that the parties are still engaged and talking about that agreement. And the city and the county have met. We've met with the FAA, and there's a course of action that we've identified to say that we'd like to have the FAA weigh in on that document. How do they feel about it? How do they feel about our ability to be in complete compliance with all of the grant assurances that we have? And so that ball is rolling. There's really no reason to bring that forward and try to create an actionable type of agenda thing around that. So it's moving forward, and I think the right people are talking about it, and the right questions are being asked. And as soon as anything comes out that requires any sort of action or recommendation for the Board of Supervisors, we'll be sure to bring that forward and provide you all the information you need at that time. And I'm nearly finished with my list. I would say that we are down to just saying that the virtual meetings, we can't seem to get away from them. We were anxious to try to get into the Oxnard terminal building and hold a live meeting or a hybrid meeting, but the Delta variant kind of has us, threw us for a loop. We're back into a social distancing type of mode. We are as staff, we're not open every day. We still have teleworking. We still wear masks in the office. So it seemed wise not to push it. And the Board of Supervisors will be doing virtual meetings in September as well. So we felt that was wise to do that. And we're going to continue to take cues from the Board of Supervisors. So as soon as they begin holding live meetings, then we'll do the same. But we'll do that month to month, and be sure to communicate that well in advance. So that is my report, and I'm happy to take any and all questions if you like.
Yes, Steve Weiss. I've got some questions, Dave.
Sure.
Thank you for the lengthy report. When it comes to the new master plan, I I represented this body on the master plan committee. And I think transparency works both ways. And I think if the Department of Airports did anything wrong, it should have been that we had our existing master plan out there. So those folks that are new to the area know what the master plan is of the two airports. I mean, in those meetings, and I don't know if any other of our commissioners here took part in the meeting, but there were comments that from folks thinking, oh, there's no way we can have carriers operating out of Oxnard Airport. We don't want that. When, it's sort of a, maybe not as recent as I would like it to be, but where we no longer have carriers operating out of Oxnard Airport. So I'm concerned about that. Our two airports are there for a reason. And there's many folks in the community, and they may be upset with hearing me say this, but they'd like to see the airport shut down. So, I mean, we've got to be pro-airport here. We've got to be good citizens, but I think we're taking the wrong direction on some of this stuff. And I think we need to take a positive step and be right out there, and maybe some articles in the local papers, et cetera, as to what our current master plan is. And here we're talking about coming up with a new master plan, but I mean, it is what it is. We're not out there doing things that these airports weren't created for. So I'm very passionate about this from the time I got on this commission. And I think Gary's not here. Adriana's the only other one, but we used to have a couple commissioners that, were all for, they wanted to try to get Oxnard Airport closed down. So we got to be very careful of where we're going on this.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to
Yeah.
make a comment and support Steve on this. If anyone reads the next door Cartagena papers, which electronic newspaper, there is a huge amount of misunderstanding and miscommunication, along with the very infamous 50 flights a day into Camarillo for Amazon. And Dave and I had a wonderful conversation about that. There is a real fear that Amazon's going to be taking over the Camarillo airport, that there will be a lot of flights in and out of Camarillo, and a huge amount of increase just because of Amazon, a lack of understanding on how Amazon works and where Amazon actually flies out of, etc. So, Dave, I really agree with, education. And I think one of those should be directly related to how Amazon gets its goods and data out of Ventura County, because people don't know that. There's still, I think, some communication that they think that, the semis are going to drive right up Del Norte to the airport. There's going to be an extra road, and that's why there's going to be widening of Las Posas around the airport as well. So that needs to be really addressed, because there's a lot of miscommunication and people not understanding it at all. So, in there, in your meetings, which I agree with, and the full transparency is, addressing how Amazon works and what the effect is on Camarillo Airport, because there's a lot of people who think that, you know, commercial flights can happen in Camarillo immediately with the turn of a switch. That's all I'd like to add.
Thank you, Adriana. That's, and like you said, we did have that conversation, and one of the challenges here is to say, do you get down in the mud in Nextdoor? And there are rules about how an agency interacts with Nextdoor. You know, you certainly don't want to get down and blow by blow with people who are approaching it from a, you know, less than constructive mode, if I could be kind of soft pedaling that. But when you say, how do you replace misunderstanding with understanding, you have to stay on the high road. You have to stay using good tools and methods. And we see lots of other projects that the county is doing where they use particular types of engagement strategies and get it out there. And, you know, and a lot of times the news is difficult. A lot of times you're not giving good news to people, and there's still good methods and techniques that apply there. So
I
think
totally agree with you, Dave. The last thing I would think is to get into the mud. You know, my point with Nextdoor is to more use that as a barometer of what folks are saying, not to respond directly to Nextdoor, but to understand what is being said and to address some of those concerns in a elevated tone so that people are aware.
Yeah, and I think we've said plenty there. And to Commissioner Weiss's comments, absolutely, we don't apologize for being an airport. We have two really great and irreplaceable pieces of infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, that it is staff's job to protect. And you know, we don't give it away. We don't apologize for it. And one of those airports played a massive historical role. It is now a general aviation airport, and that's its role, and it does it very well. And the other airport, we've had historically the ability to move passengers, and we remain in good posture to be able to continue that role at the direction of what everybody's looking for, and the market. It needs to be, we need to find a market for that. And not only that, but a resilient system has multiple runways. We don't have the ability to have multiple runways at either one of our airports. But together, we have a more resilient aviation transportation system by virtue of our two runways. Plus, we also have Magoo. So I think there's excellent reason for us to be optimistic and to put a good face on what the future of these airports is. And absolutely, we look to the past, at the history of this infrastructure, and we celebrate it. And we say these are good things. But at the same time, also understanding that listening to your neighbors is just good practice, and having good methods and techniques for that is good practice. And we want to be good at that, and recognizing that there are things that we can do to reduce our footprint, and we want to be looking for ways to do that as well. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Is there any other comments? Okay, I have to commend you on your outreach through social media and the internet. with the public. And I think that's, I think you're doing a great job there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other reports?
The reports
Let's
were in the
receive
packets.
and file.
Received and-
Oh, no, this isn't a receive and file, is it? It's just simply if you have questions on the reports.
Right, to respond to any question.
So if you have any questions on the reports, we're happy to address those.
Okay. No questions. Do we have any correspondence?
Again, that was in the packets. So if you had
Okay.
any items in the
Mark?
packets that you wanted.
Okay, any commission comments?
Steve Weiss, I'm boring you guys, but I'd like staff to request county council let us know what their position is in light of the concessions made to California Department of I guess it's not Fish and Game, but Fish and Wildlife. And I think since we haven't completed the lease with the private hangar owners, I think the proverbial can of worms is totally opened up, because things we thought were things that are etched in stone, obviously, an exception was made for Department of Fish and Wildlife. And those same kind of concessions, in my opinion, should now be available to our private lessees. So please request that county council reports back to our commission. We have no connection to county council. They represent the airport. They don't represent our body. And I'd like to know what they have to say.
Okay, just to make sure I'm clear about the requests, it's to say
I want them to clarify what was done in this lease with California Department of Fish and Wildlife. That this is unprecedented, where we're making exceptions to our terms and conditions of a lease.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't have to make these exceptions. I mean, California Department of Fish and Wildlife could have operated under our terms and conditions that are provided to others. So they like to pay in arrears. Why not? I like to pay in arrears, but that's usually not something that's made available.
Understood. All right.
I want to know how county council can justify that.
All right. Well, we'll report back.
Leave it open.
Okay, is there any other comments? Okay, it's time for adjournment. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll second.
All approve? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Flickinger. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you.
Thank you.